Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of 2017 of Hooks, Lines, and Hip Hop. I'm Hakeem.
Jacob.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Today, we are going to be talking about RTJ3, Run the Jewels 3.
Oh, yeah.
Sneaked up on us, came out on Christmas, and I think it fucked up everybody's
That's the
list.
only hip-hop Christmas release, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Where the fuck were you, Beyonce?
I need Lemonade 2. What happened with you and Jay-Z? It's fucking fake. They just need more people to subscribe to Tidal. Poor Tidal.
What is Tidal?
I don't know. I think it came.
I've never heard of that.
I haven't either, honestly. I don't even know where it came up with.
All right. We're going to do some news before we get into RTJ3. This is actually closely related to RTJ.
Run the Jewels 3.
I think I just had epilepsy.
He had a stroke. He's back with us now, though, guys.
Right. We're good. Killer Mike and Logic apparently hit the studio last night, according to Hot New Hip Hop. That'd be pretty cool.
Yes.
I think they would sound pretty cool together.
Yeah, something about Logic and fat people. They just make really good tracks. What's that song he did on, what was his name? Big Lembo.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he's got...
Fuck all that. It's the fat young Jesus. Yeah, that song?
Yeah. That's hard.
Dude, there's a lot of people that believe Logic is like the savior of hip-hop. Because he's a blend of all these like really influential artists. He's still in his fan stage. Like, he's such a fanboy for hip-hop. That's why he makes such cool music, is because he has so many influences.
I think he has to get out of it at some point, but I guess the good thing about it is it's still good music.
Yeah.
But the
he's
problem
not
is,
biting other people's stuff at all.
No, but he's heavily influenced.
Yeah. Anderson .Paak is reported to be making music with God,
DJ Quick.
Q-Tip and DJ Quick.
Yes.
Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers.
There you go. Do the workouts.
Anderson .Paak is making music with Q-Tip and DJ Quick. What's even more exciting is I said that properly.
I'm so excited for Anderson and for you, dude. Congratulations.
Man, I need to go back and hooked on phonics. Man.
Did it say if they're just doing a couple of tracks or if they're doing like a project?
Let's read it. Let's do some more research.
Let's do some.
He looks clean in that picture.
That doesn't even look like him.
He kind of looks bummy when you see him all the other times. This just says that it may be a future collaboration.
Okay. That'd be cool. DJ Quick's a legend. So's Q-Tip.
Yeah, it talks about, he had an interview with Pharrell.
Pharrell has some interesting interviews. He did one with this guy named Henry Rollins, and they talked about politics. And it's a very, very cool interview. I could see that being interesting. Check that out on Hot New Hip Hop. We should have a Hot New Hip Hop sponsorship already.
We should.
Yeah.
Or Rap Genius.
Sorry,
it's Genius now. They include all genres.
Whatever. Rap Genius.
What was the other piece of news I told you that I forgot to say?
Drake recently retired back-to-back.
Right.
Which I think is a way of him going to Meek Mill after him and Nicki Minaj broke up.
Yeah, I don't think it's so much as a big step. Like, Eminem doesn't do Clean Out My Closet anymore.
Yeah.
Because he's somewhat patched things up with his mom. So I don't think he's taking like a real emotional or like a better man step. No. I think he's doing it as a slight to him. Like, hey, I'm going to be the better person and stop continuing this beef. So we'll see if Weak Mill has anything to respond back to him. You didn't come to my mom's New Year's Eve party, but we're sitting there. My mom doesn't know a lot about rap music, and we're sitting there, and she's like, I heard about a shooting that happened outside of a rap concert, and I don't know if you knew there was a shooting. 2 people died, I think. Was it 2 people dead or 2 people shot?
Meek Mill concert, 2 people died.
Yeah. So she was like, I heard 2 people got shot outside of a rap concert. She was like, I think you would know who he is if I can remember his name. And she called him Lil Weak.
Lil Weak? Oh, Amy.
It's funny because it was like she didn't know. She doesn't know the man's vices and problems, but it's funny because it's not too far from the truth.
I liked. I won't say I loved, but I did.
If you say
DC4, I like DC4, and he's coming out with DC 4.5, and I will definitely give it a listen because there are some tracks on, especially Liddy. I can listen to Liddy all day.
This just in.
Oh!
Mac Main announces a new Lil Wayne project, Velvet. This man's got like 8 projects that are supposedly coming.
Yeah, I mean, if he drops 8, 2 of them will be good.
We'll talk about this later when I get to my hit and hit, but Ghostface does not like Birdman or anybody from Young Money. I don't think.
Wu-Tang has a history of being. They were kind of like instigators, and they were antagonizing in the music industry.
He has a line in his album Sour Soul where he's talking about how, like Wu ran that rap industry before skateboarders ruled the genre. It had me cracking up. I hope Pusha T and him collaborate now and just ether Young Money.
You could probably make like a collaborative project of everybody who hates Birdman or Young Money in general.
That's everybody that's not signed to Young Money.
Yeah, they're just like a huge target. Like they're so big, and they changed the sound of rap in the mid to late 2000s that it's kind of hard not to pick on him. And Birdman is such an easy target because he's bought $1 million gold toilet, but he can't give Wayne his money. $1 million.
Ridiculous.
He's got 10 bathrooms. He can shit all day.
All right. We're gonna talk about some real hip hop now.
That's all real hip hop in my mind.
Birdman has never done. Birdman wouldn't know real hip hop if it shat on him. He'd be hip hop's golden toilet.
With that
I wouldn't piss on Birdman if he was on fire.
Jesus Christ. Don't let him send the Bloods after us, please, dude.
Oh, God.
I'm not trying to get killed, bro.
Put some respect on my name. Anyway.
Right, let's get into this Run the Jewels review.
Yeah.
Yes, so tell me, Jake, top 3 songs right off the bat.
I like Panther Like a Panther. When I saw it, I was like, I hope they mention anything about a Panther because... Unfortunately, I'm a Carolina Panthers fan, I'll say, after this year. So I was like, oh, cool, they may have a cool theme song coming now. But I don't think they say Panther at all one time.
Nah,
I like that one. We both talked about 2100.
Yes, that was the single before the album dropped. It was an old single.
I like the Danny Brown feature.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to Me was pretty good.
Okay.
What was the one about Kill Your Master? What was that one?
Kill Your Master?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's the 14th track. Report to the shareholders, and then the end it says "Kill Your Master."
Yes, it's a very good song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, top 3 would be Panther Like a Panther, 2100, and it's kind of tough. Probably a Report to the Shareholders, because I like the first probably 5 tracks is a bit more of the social justice side of everything, and they're talking more about like the man and rebelling and revolution and the fear of cops, but they're also doing that on a Report to the Shareholders, where I think it still has a revolutionary tone to it, but it's really catchy to listen to.
Funny you mentioned that when talking about those first 5 tracks being real conscious and damn dog. Anyway, being real conscious, I think that the Danny Brown feature could have been switched out for somebody different.
Yeah.
Like Ab Soul. I mean, we've talked about how he's all about the third eye, talking about conspiracies, and I think he would have been a good feature on this album because of how conscious he is. Not to say that Danny Brown killed the track, but it would have been cooler to see somebody that fit more of their message. Because Danny Brown's more, let's do Molly and then kiss bitches with my broken tooth.
Yeah. I think though the cool thing about Danny Brown's last album, which we didn't cover, but he talks a little bit more about the downside of that kind of lifestyle. Yeah. So I can see kind of a shift.
He's almost 40, isn't he?
Yeah, but he was I mean, Triple X came out. He was in his late 30s.
Yeah.
So I mean,
that's a hard life at 40.
Hell yeah, it is.
And he's not like Future, where he talks about all this and doesn't do it. He does it.
Yeah, I really feel like he's done it. But yeah, I think the cool thing about Run the Jewels is, I told you this, they've taken their sound and they've done it 3 different ways pretty much. Like every one of their albums is the majority of the albums.
It's a sickness, man. I'm telling you.
I know. I don't know. You gave me the tongue twister. That sounds so
don't
bad.
ever say that.
Pause. I got tongue twisted. But the first 2 Run the Jewels albums, there's this aggression, and there was always a hint of social consciousness, but never this apparent. And I think that has to do with Killer Mike working very closely with Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
And also the coolest thing that I saw, one of the coolest things from the Podesta email leak, was Killer Mike was the subject, and it said it seems like Killer Mike didn't get the message about Hillary Clinton running over Bernie Sanders. Then he made T-shirts out of it. So
I think too, with different races, you grow up in different scenarios.
Yeah.
And I think with him working with LP, they kind of get two different viewpoints and get to make a median ground between their two views. So it was I wouldn't say conservative, but it was very in the middle. Like, it wasn't aggressive at all in the way they were talking about social injustices.
You don't think so?
I don't think it was nothing like Us or Else.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like that, but that would seem... I think what I like about that is it's not hokey and it's, like, realistic.
Yeah.
Like it's...
I think if Killer Mike came out with something that was, like, really kind of aggressive and borderline hateful, LP could be like, hey, tone that back, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Like, if LP wanted to write something back and it's kind of weaker, he'd be like, no, this is like a real problem. We need to talk about this in a stronger manner.
I think both of them have come from sort of semi-different backgrounds. Like, I know Killer Mike said that his father was a cop, and so I'm sure
I didn't know that.
Yeah, his father was a cop, and Killer Mike is obviously someone who's very heavily involved in politics. I think more so than LP, and also he's been doing songs like this, like. A song that, if you guys haven't heard, you definitely should check out is Ronald Reagan. It's by him. Very, very, like, political song, obviously, and he's talking about everything wrong with Reagan. So he's very aware of politics right now. He was with Bernie Sanders heavily in his campaign, was always with him. And so I think what I liked about this is everybody was making anti-Trump songs for, like a year. And the problem was they were either like just too
radical, like fuck Donald Trump.
Right, like like fuck Donald Trump. Like, it's a great.
And
message.
that was all opinion.
Yeah,
there was not really any fact.
He's like, I don't like you. Like, that's how he starts the song. Like, I don't like you.
Yeah, he said, I like white folks, but I don't like you.
Yeah, and like, ooh, hello. But you've got like on, I think it's Talk to Me. Like, LP starts it with went to war with the devil and Satan. He wore a bad toupee and a spray tan.
Right.
I like that because it's like, it's clever, it's indirect, and it's not really, it's like a jab at Trump, but it's supposed to be kind of just a shallow like jab. They're more focusing on like the relationships with cops and the like improper distribution of wealth. And I like where he says, like, I work half my life to give half my wealth to these half-man imps.
Yeah.
I love that, like, wordplay. And that's the thing, like, I see that there's like some realism and there's some, he's talking about like distress that you feel as a middle class American that I don't think T.I. was really talking about.
And with YG, YG was, I would say, as far as being aggressive to non-aggressive, I would say YG was in the middle. T.I. was more. T.I. on the Anderson .Paak song talked about how he fantasizes about shooting Trump down. So you tell me if that man gets shot, T.I. is not going to be top of the line for questioning?
Not even that. It's just like, you always got to remember your words have power.
Yeah. And
the thing that I like about this is it's a call to action, but it's not really a destructive kind of call to action, because there's a story that happened recently. It's been covered really heavily. I don't know if you heard about it. The autistic kid who was kidnapped by a group of black people in Chicago, and they were like torturing him, and they had him like, they forced him to drink toilet water and stuff like that, and they were saying fuck white people. And I'm not saying that's reverse racism. I think it's just there's a lot of unrest in this political climate with Trump becoming president,
right?
And people are not really keeping their cool with it because mainstream media is not really saying anything to like lessen the fire. Really, they're just adding more gasoline to the flames.
And like you said, with having power, your words have power. I don't think this would motivate anybody that was unstable to do anything against Republicans or a Trump supporter.
No.
Whereas you remember the guy that shot Reagan said that he shot Reagan because he wanted to impress Jodie Foster. Yeah. There's no correlation between those actions at all.
No.
So if there was somebody unstable listening to T.I. say, I fantasize about shooting Trump down, this guy may go shoot Trump just because he wants to meet T.I.
Yeah. And
so you have, like you said, you have to be careful with what you say because of how powerful your words are.
Exactly. And again, like this is an album that it calls attention to possibly police abusing their power. And Killer Mike has talked about that before. On Run the Jewels 2, he talks about a song. There's a part in one of the songs where he talks about how a cop pulled him over. He had a little bit of weed on him, and he was being handcuffed, but his wife was like going up to the officer, like wanting to see her husband, and he kind of like pushed his wife down and was kind of rough with her.
Right.
And that's like, I can empathize with that because that's a personal experience. Sometimes when you're speaking about this, it's very easy to overreact and not to bring actual evidence to the table or speak in a logical manner. And I think this album does a great job of keeping it realistic, whereas T.I.'s was just a little bit too outrageous.
And I think, too, the people he's around, like being a close acquaintance of Bernie Sanders, he can't come out and say anything extremely radical because Bernie Sanders wouldn't continue the involvement with him.
Yeah.
Because Bernie Sanders wouldn't want that negative connotation surrounding him.
And I don't think their relationship necessarily plays a role in what they're saying on this album. I think Killer Mike has always, if you listen to him speak, he's just a very intelligent person. And I'm not saying LP isn't either, but I just haven't heard him speak on it as much, like on social issues. But Killer Mike has been on CNN and has done all sorts of interviews and stuff. And like I said, he worked so closely with Bernie Sanders. I feel like he knows what he's talking about. And I like also not just the messages on here. For a while with Run the Jewels, if you go back and listen to the first and second albums, Killer Mike has always been the predominant lyricist. And like when you listen to Killer Mike, you're like, that sounds good, but it's not as like direct as Killer Mike's verses are. Yeah. On this one though, I think LP kind of not necessarily dumbed down, but he just went more like for the throat with each song, and I think both of them were a little bit more equal on this one than the other two.
I know I mentioned to you that I wish they would have some more melody, which we talked about how the album was real synth sound. There's a lot of electronic music instruments than the previous two albums, but their flows. I mean, definitely has an old school rap sound. So I mean, we don't look to Wu-Tang or, I mean, NWA had a little bit of melody, but you don't look to that for melody. But now we're in 2017. It would have been cool to see some melody. But I like the album.
Oh yeah, me too. I've Run the Jewels 2 was my favorite. It's still my favorite out of the three, but this one's definitely second. And then RTJ 1, the reason why it's not higher is because they even admitted they kind of just threw that out, and they didn't really think anything was going to come of this, but people loved it so much that they ended up making a group now. And what I like about them as well, I don't know if they still do this, but they talk about how they only record when they're in the studio together. Yeah. And then maybe they go a couple months without recording. And then sometimes when they're working on a song, if LP starts it, Killer Mike or LP will be out of bars, and then Killer Mike will say, I got something that finishes this, and vice versa. Yeah. And I like that because you can definitely hear chemistry. It doesn't feel like anything's phoned in with them. Right.
It also adds like this kind of scenario. Like this song, I remember Forever was a huge song. And I'm sure that what was it, Eminem, Kanye, Drake, and there was one more, wasn't there? Kanye, Eminem, Drake.
Ooh, I feel bad for this dude.
I don't remember. But it was cool to think that all three of them, Lil Wayne. Wow, that's bad.
Was it really?
Yeah. So imagine being in that studio watching the four of them work together. And I'm sure they didn't work together. Right. But that just adds a certain mystique to your music. Like, what would it have been like to have been there? Yeah. To see them. And that's why it's so cool to see inside video of artists recording songs that you've heard, or seeing them on an interview doing a so-called freestyle when it's really a written off of something that comes out 3 months later. I think that's cool. Like, that shows the creative process. In being how they're from two separate walks of life, a documentary on these two, or like a small short film would be really cool to see. Yeah.
There are a few out there, like Killer Mike has one from back when he was in New York, like this is like early 2000s. And then they've done a few shorts with, I think, Vice or Noisy, where they go to like a secluded area and just kind of work together. And I really, like I said, I like that. I think in regards to them having more melody on this album, I can agree to an extent, but what I thought was cool was Killer Mike took trap kind of cadences and was using them on the songs on here, which I think was a way of kind of doing a little bit of new school, because like you said, like it can be easy to put them more in an old school box because they've been doing this for so long, and they're not melodic. It's just like really hard hitting verses. But this one I like I said, like the electronic sound with the beats was really different, and also just the trap cadence on Killer Mike's.
Well, and you said, like, was it 2100? You said I really like his flow on this one. Yeah. Because his flow doesn't really change. Killer Mike, usually it's pretty the same. It's, I wouldn't want to say monotone, but it's the same sound of voice and the same kind of on pattern. Like you said, the cadence. And when he changes it, I don't want to say it makes a song better, but it brings more attention.
Yeah, it's
and it completely changes, and it gives you something different to listen for.
Yeah. It's kind of like if you think about someone like MF Doom, for example. Yeah. Doom will never change his cadence or like his style of rapping. Like it's just the same thing. And while it's like great to listen to, I can't listen to too much Doom back to back, except for like Mad Villainy, because the production on there is so
and it's so short. Like the songs, some are like 2 minutes, a minute 30. Yeah. So,
but it's like really packed. Yeah. But I love this album, and I think had it not come out after we did our list, it would have definitely made my top 10.
I probably would have had it in the top 10 or honorable mention for sure.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been into Run the Jewels as much as you have. I know when you didn't really introduce me to Run the Jewels until the second album, I believe. Yeah. And I listened to it. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan, but it's not like I was like, oh, that's whack, I wouldn't listen to it. Yeah. But I like how, because most like groups like this, like Prime is a group, but DJ Premier really didn't do anything other than the production and the mastering on the Prime album. Yeah. Whereas LP is a producer, but he can rap too, so he influences the music more than just the music.
Yeah, and he also has his own rapping career as well. Like he just always does. I like that he can do both, but I will say his strengths are in production, because his production is so crazy. Not that he's not a good rapper. It's just his production is so higher level to me. Yeah. It's insane.
And it does add a different feel. I mean, like you said with Doom, you don't want to listen to a bunch of Doom back to back. And Killer Mike may get boring after a whole album of just hearing him rap. Hearing somebody else different in the song brings it new life and gives you more motivation to keep listening.
Yeah, and like on Panther Like a Panther, like the way they go back and forth in the very beginning of the track, I love that. I don't think you can get that from a lot of people. Like I said, like that's when I can tell like they work together very closely. And that's why it takes them really long to put out albums. Like, I mean, this is almost an hour long, so they're not really short albums. It's just they've only put out really 3 albums, and then they put out it was funny. It was like a remix from their second album, Meow the Jewels, and it was all just cat sounds, which I thought was pretty funny. But this one's exactly 10 minutes longer than their second one, and I will say if you're a fan of the second one, I think the back end of this album has more to offer for you than the front, because it's a lot more aggressive. Like 10 through 14 is a lot of just like the very like aggressive tracks, the more hard hitting hooks and stuff. But there wasn't too much I didn't really like on this. Do you have like a least favorite track?
I couldn't just pick one out.
Yeah.
Because, 58 minutes, that's not really, or 51 minutes, that's not a long album. It's kind of in between.
Yeah. Yeah, like 14 songs isn't much.
No, I can't.
I think I will say, like, Stay Gold. I didn't like that.
I didn't like
the hook.
Gold.
That's gold. Yeah.
It's just kind of repetitive and annoying.
And Call Tinkerton with the live, what is it? Live from the Garden.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of annoying.
No, I mean, it was a pretty good album. I told you before we started that I think it'd be cool to hear them on their next album have like a live band kind of sound, like a Roots sound or a Bad Bad Not Good, which they don't do a lot of hip hop collabs. I think Sour Soul.
Bad Bad Not Good?
What else have they done with that besides Ghostface? I haven't heard anything.
Well, I know they haven't done like necessarily like full on collabs.
I've seen performances where they play for artists, but I think that's the only album they were really credited on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have done like features with artists. I can't think off the top of my head, but if you go back to, I think it's their first or second mixtape, they took Earl's beats from his mixtape and were playing them live instrumental. Okay. So they definitely have their hand in hip hop.
I think their sound, like a Root sound or a Bad Bad Not Good sound, would be really cool with them because of their old school sound.
Yeah. I think the only thing for me would be if live band could capture enough of an energy to match their aggressiveness.
Right. Obviously, it's not going to do like arena music.
Right.
It'd be more like something you'd see them perform on SNL.
Yeah.
Or have like Forest Hills Drive. J. Cole put out a live version. Like that'd be. I don't think a live version of this out. I wouldn't want to listen to that.
No.
Now, being that, like, if they did a short film, like, I don't want to use Frank as an example because that was kind of boring. But if they had like a live performance that you could watch and hear, that would be cool. But it's hard to do a live rap album and it be successful. But if they had live instrumentals, I think it would be a lot more appealing to the ear.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that. I think it's just like I've gotten so used to them being so raw.
Yeah. It
would be difficult to capture that, but it would also challenge them to change up their sound a little bit, which would be really interesting to hear. Overall this is a really good album. Like I said, I think I would still rank them Run the Jewels 2 first, and that's a very hard one to top. Like, if you haven't listened to that one, go listen to that one, and then listen to this one. And maybe you'll appreciate the message on the third one a little bit more, because this one is just... Run the Jewels 2 is very just angry and fun to listen to. Like, when I first heard it, I was driving on the highway and I had to like kind of hit my brakes a few times because I was about to hit 100. Like, I love that album, especially songs like Blockbuster Night Part 1, Oh My Darling Don't Cry. And there were hints of electronic on that one, but not as much as on this one. No. But again, it was really cool to see what they did on this album, and I'm always looking forward to hearing more from them. I would give it an 8.5.
I was gonna say 7.5.
7.5?
But I'm not into them as much as you are.
Yeah.
I know when you first got into them, you were big into Death Grips too, and you mentioned them on the last episode.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of Death Grips.
Yeah.
I've tried. That's the thing, when you have like left field rap, it's hard in any kind of genre when they kind of go out of that box.
Yeah, tamper with the formula.
It's hard to get into it, and if you don't get into it, it's almost like having an acquired taste, but I haven't acquired the taste for that.
I think the big thing that helps me like enjoy more left field rap was hanging out with people in high school. Hi Andrew, people who were listening to more metal, or just like hard rock. Where at first when I heard it, I didn't get it, but like bands like Of Mice and Men, for example. I love Of Mice and Men, and you can't understand like 2 words half the time, but it's just really hard hitting, and I like the energy that comes with it. So with people like Run the Jewels, Death Grip, Suicide Boys, those kind of groups where there's just a lot of raw energy to them, I can really appreciate, and there are definitely moments where the lyricist stands out.
Right. And I've gone through my phases. Like, I used to like rock music. I was a big fan of Avenged Sevenfold, which that's a staple in rock music.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah. I mean, it's understandable. It's not for everyone, and hip hop is a genre where not a lot of change happens.
Speaking of this, we were in high school big fans of Hollywood Undead, and that is like the perfect blend of rap music and rock music. It's immature. Yes, it's very immature music, but I don't know. I still will put them in rotation every now and then.
I like it because it makes me laugh, and I like that. Like, sometimes with music, it's the memory that you associate it with.
Right.
So that's definitely like a time in our life that I will always play that music because it makes me smile, because I can still sing along to certain songs.
Well, speaking of memory in music, I'm scrolling through my discography here, and this is a good memory. We were riding in high school. My dad had a Jeep. And we're riding in the Jeep. It's summertime. We live in South Carolina, so summer is pretty nice here. And I'm listening to I Am Not a Human Being 2 by Lil Wayne. And the song, what is it? Wowzers, I think is what it was. Let me look. Yes, Wowzer. No.
You sure?
I think it was Wowzers. But it says Soulja Boy, isn't it? He says Soulja Boy on the beat. I swear to God, the second I heard that, I pressed eject, and I threw the thing out the window, and by God, if there had been a cop behind me and wrote me a ticket for littering, I would have paid it. Sight unseen.
I remember that. It was hilarious, because that was like the only album you had for a little bit too, so I think you had been abusing it for days, and you just couldn't take it.
I guess I didn't get that far into it, and then he goes, Soulja Boy on the beat.
He's going to pull up on the block with the Draco.
Yep.
That's going to be my hidden hit.
How about Trigger Finger? That's on there, too.
Yeah, I think, again, some music has its time, and people like Killer Mike and LP, this sort of music is timeless in a way. I think despite whether or not you feel like this album is more lukewarm to you or you just bump it heavy, like I have a friend of mine who's just recently getting into hip hop, and he played this album for about 2 or 3 weeks straight. I'm sure he knows it better than I do even. And he's not very heavy into rap, but something about this is captivating. So I remember listening to Run the Jewels the first time and just feeling captivated by it. And they're a spectacle. They're something that should be, they demand attention.
Well, yeah, all artists that sound different have appeals. Like Wade, a friend of ours who went to high school with, loved Kid Cudi but didn't care anything for rap music.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of an underground like fan. I'm surprised.
Closet fan?
Yeah, he's a closet fan of hip hop because he and I will talk, and I get more and more out of him each time we discuss music. Like sometimes we talk with our friends before we do these podcasts, and it's interesting to hear what they have to say, especially people who don't necessarily mess with rap the same way Jake and I do, because that's how you and I became such close friends. Is because I don't know anybody who I can talk about rap with for 40 minutes every day.
No.
Or
and
like an hour.
Shout out to another friend, Brian. He probably part of the reason we started this. Anytime the three of us would hang out, it would end up being me and my sitting there about rap music. And Brian's over there on his phone. He's like, guys, can we talk about something that we can all talk about?
We're just like, nope. And then I'm like, oh, hey, have you heard this song?
And Brian's like, hey, have you heard the new Young Thug mixtape?
We're like, sit down, Brian.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian.
So what's your? We're gonna start something new. We're gonna do a hidden hit and a throwback track.
Yes.
And the rule for the throwback track is it's got to be 2 years old.
A year or year.
Okay, a year older.
A year older.
2015 is the cutoff. So anything in 2016 doesn't count.
Okay.
Do your throwback track.
Throwback track first. Do your throwback.
Okay,
first.
my throwback track. I was actually thinking about it as I was going through here, and I totally forgot about this song. I pulled up to work the other day, and there's some more businesses next to us, and they were getting their truck delivery, and their truck driver is in the back of the truck unloading the truck, and he has some Bluetooth speaker, and he's listening to Tech Nine. And I was like, who the fuck? I thought I was the only person that listened to Tech Nine, and he was listening to the song Fragile. It's got Kendrick Lamar in it. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Which yes, very good album.
It's got a female feature too that's really good,
and Mayday's on it.
Yeah. Great track. Check that out.
Mm-hmm.
What's yours?
I was just scrolling through. We did a list of the Kanye albums, and I just came up. I went back to my.
You doing a deep track? Or
No, it's a deep cut. I would probably do Blame Game. Blame Game is one of my favorite tracks.
Chris Rock at the end of that makes that song.
Oh my god.
I never been to this part of Pussy Town. Easy taught me.
Yeah, that album is one of my favorites. I could pull so many tracks off of this one, but Blame Game is one that I really enjoyed.
All right, so what's your hidden hit? Or do you want me to go?
You go.
This one may still be in 2015, but is that acceptable? I already mentioned it.
Go ahead.
Sour Soul was the Bad Bad Not Good and Ghostface Killah album.
Mm-hmm.
It's got Danny Brown, Elzai. You're a big Elzai fan.
Yes.
Doom is on it.
Yeah.
And it's only 32 minutes long. Like, you can listen to it. I can listen almost to the full album on my ride to work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good... And it really went under the radar when it came out, which was pretty sad.
I think part of it, too, is because the way that it's marketed, Bad Bad Not Good is before Ghostface name. Yeah, so if you didn't really know about rap music and know that they have a hand in rap music, you may have just passed right over it.
Maybe. So for me, I was telling you guys about grime, and I'm gonna choose. It's a song called Overseas. It's got Smoke Dawg and Skepta, which Jake pointed out he sounds a lot like Meek Mill.
Smoke Dawg, not Skepta.
Smoke Dawg. Yeah, Skepta doesn't sound like Meek Mill at all. He was on my top 10 from 2016. But yeah, Overseas, Smoke Dawg and Skepta, and I think it's like a good mishmash of American hip hop as well as like Skepta coming in with the like aggressive and grime. Yeah. And it's a good way to show that these two genres of hip hop can come together and you can make some very good music.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's mine. Okay, guys, this is gonna be a little bit of a shorter episode.
Yeah.
But that's all I have to say. Definitely check out Run the Jewels 3 if you haven't. Check out our hidden hits and go back and listen to some classic music. Tweet us at HLH and tell us some tracks that you guys are bumping nowadays. Thank you all for listening. I'm Hakeem.
Jacob.
Have a good day.